Pale Wale Doodle, coming to you from the Mountain Dulcimer in DAA tuning 155, and we're focusing on that all during the month of November 2019. Welcome to Dulcimerica, everybody. My name is Futch. Thank you very much for joining me. We're continuing our story with the Mountain Dulcimer, and this is for novice players and beginner players, so if you are beyond that point, you might want to hang around and watch and catch up on some fundamentals, brush up on the basics, or move along to something that's a bit more challenging for you. But this is good information that a lot of people can use. We started off at the beginning of the month learning how to read tablature and then also how to count through music. You don't have to learn how to read standard music notation, but it helps to know what the values of different notes are, from your whole notes and half notes to quarter notes, eighth notes, and 16th notes. And then in the second episode of the month, we got into how these notes can be combined together in various ways, including using slurs, rests, and dots to change things up a little bit. Here, we're going to work a little bit just on strumming and incorporating a different alternating strum when bringing eighth notes into the picture. Our tune today is going to be Polly Wolly Doodle, as you just heard. So you can download the tablature for today's episode by going to the link that's being displayed right down here at the bottom. And while I'm doing that, I want to say hello to one of my patrons on Patreon, Cameron Woods. Cameron, thank you very much for your subscription, and I appreciate you very much, as I appreciate all my patrons for allowing me to do stuff like this. Dulcimerica is going into its 13th year, and I can continue to produce episodes, create new workflow, new tablature, and put more things out there for all of you folks who are playing not only mountain dulcimer, but Native American flute, ukulele, and learning music theory. All of this stuff is made possible by my patrons, and they assist every single day just being a part of my art. So Cameron, thank you very much. And to all my patrons, thank you again for being a part of my art every single day. Now, if you are interested in becoming a patron, once you're there picking up all of these resources, check out the featured tag section and look at the open house tag. There you'll find tons, literally a terabyte of information that you can download for free. And if you like what you see entertainment-wise, education-wise, please think about becoming a patron for just $5 a month. That gets you everything I've ever produced, from my books and CDs to my video, tablature, and full-length concerts, big workshop stuff. There's lots and lots of material for players of all different skill levels. And I also produce new content every single week exclusively for my patrons. If you're interested, you can sign up there, click on the Become a Patron button, $5 a month, gets you in an all access pass, and I would really appreciate it because it helps make things like this possible. Cameron again, and all my patrons, thank you very, very much. So we are going to be working on Polly Wolly Doodle. The main thing we're working on here is using this in-out strum. Sometimes you want to just kind of do out strum, especially if you're not moving very fast and there's not a whole lot of urgency. You can just strum outwards. But when it comes to getting the eighth notes in, it can be very difficult to go all out strum, especially if you're playing anywhere near moderate or quicker than moderate tempo. So you want to use the return trip and come in. So our count, as we went over in the first episode this month, for eighth notes is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So sometimes these eighth notes will be in a measure filled with other notes, and you can simply go out strum, but when you get to the eighth notes, you'll want to use the return trip. Same thing with 16th notes, and that's going to make it a lot easier for you to move quickly as opposed to trying to do everything on the out strum. So let's take a look at some of what we have inside of this tune. We've got a eighth note, two eighth note pickup. That's one beat. So when we start off, I want to count 1, 2, 3, and then we'll take those two notes to lead us in. So there we have 3 quarter notes and then 2 eighth notes. So down underneath the notes, you'll see these little arrows, these little triangles, and those are the strum directions. So take a look at those and get an idea for when you should be going out strum and also when you should be coming back in. We'll play it nice and slow. Also take note, we have a dotted half note in measure 4, remember a dot adds half of the value to that note. Half of a half note is a quarter note. So a dotted half note is going to end up with the 2 beats of the half note plus the 1 beat that we're adding by way of the dot for a total of 3 beats. And then we have 2 eighth notes at the end. Those take up the space of 1 beat. So typically, if you're doing this for the first time or the first few times, make sure that the math adds up for the number of beats you have in the measure. We are in 4/4 time. There are 4 beats in the measure. So as you count through all of the different note values, make sure they add up to 4 and everything should be fine. All right. Nothing else too tricky here except for those 8 notes. So let's go ahead and take it nice and slow as we move through. Once again, going to give us 3 beats in 1, 2, 3, and we'll go. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. And that quarter rest is there at the end. We can go ahead and put our hand down on the strings and mute them so we actually hear that rest and cap it off. All right, let's do that again. You might have seen me a couple of times go out strum on the 8 notes. Reason being is that we're really moving through this so slowly. The whole idea behind using the alternating pick direction is to make sure that we have enough time to get back when we're playing at high speed or moderate speed. When you're moving slow, the necessity isn't there. The urgency isn't there nearly as much. But as you start to pick up speed, you'll realize it's a lot easier to do that back and forth picking motion when we're moving quicker. Let's go ahead and go through Polly Wolly Doodle again. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3, and rest on 4. Play through this over and over again until you've got this song memorized. Your fingers know where they're going. You feel comfortable with your right hand. Play it over and over again. And once you have this tune memorized, then you can do something fun with it. You can put a little bit of a swing into it and give it just a little bit of a bounce. That's a lot of fun. So let me explain swing, also called a shuffle rhythm. We have our 8 notes, and so we have, let's say we have 4 quarter notes in a measure, and we split every single one of those quarter notes into 2 8 notes. That gives us 4 pairs of 8 notes, and we would count that as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So what we can do is we can steal from the second of the pair of each 8 notes, and make the first of each pair of eighth notes a dotted eighth note. Remember what happens with dots? We add half of the value of that note to itself, but that value has to come from somewhere in the measure, so that we're stealing it from the second of the pair. So what happens is we have a dotted eighth note as the first of the pair. That means that we're going to be adding half of the value of an eighth note to itself. Half of an eighth note is a 16th note. That means there are 3 16th notes inside of a dotted eighth note. That also means that that second of the eighth note pair is no longer an eighth note, because we just took an eighth note away from it and gave it to the first of the pair, which leaves what? 1 16th note. What we have now is a dotted eighth note, 16th note rhythm, and that means we're going to be lingering on that first note a little bit longer than we did before when they were just basic eighth notes, and we're not going to play that second note as long as we did before. It's going to make it lopsided, kind of like a flat tire. If we were just doing straight eighths before, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, now we're going to be going like this. 1 and, well, we go 1, E2, E3, E4. Because we got a 16th note in there, so it's 1, E2, E3, E4. And see how it sort of lopes along, skips along, heartbeats along? It's got a shuffle to it. Instead of going like this, we're going like this. And you see where that shuffle feeling comes from? It's just kind of a nice groovy little bounce that you can put into a tune. So let me show you what difference that makes when we're playing a tune that has a lot of eighth notes, because that's where you're really going to hear that shuffle. You won't hear them nearly as much with eighth notes or with quarter notes, with whole notes, half notes. It's the relationship between those 2 eighth notes and what changes we make to either of them that will really create this shuffle. So here's Polly Wolly Doodle played straight, the way we've done it 2 times here. Okay, straight eighths, nice and squared up as we go. Now this is it with a shuffle. What I'm basically doing without even marking up the music is I'm changing all of those eighth note pairs to dotted eighth note and 16th note pairs. And the result is this. And that's the difference between playing straight eighths and putting a swing or a shuffle into the music by using the dotted 8th and 16th note combination. But you can kind of get a sense for how that feels. So instead of you having to think dotted 8, 16th, dotted 8, 16th, just play the tune, and once you have it memorized, just give it a bounce like that and give that a shot. That's what a lot of people do with fiddle tunes. They write them out straight, but they play them with a bounce. So if you're having a hard time getting that bounce, that's exactly what you're looking for, is this dotted 8, 16th note rhythm. It's very, very popular, and the more you understand how to make it happen, the easier it is to go back and forth between playing it straight and playing it kind of groovy and bouncy. Thank you everybody very much for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you, and I hope that you practice a little bit every single day, because that is the way that you slowly climb the mountain. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you next time.